Good morning. Welcome to another live edition of the Mishna Berurah, and we are going to continue with Hilchos Tefillah, laws of prayer, and we're talking about getting prepared for prayer. We were talking about it last time about how to properly dress. So here we're going to talk about how to make sure your body is ready, and make sure your body is ready, that you're clean and set. So fasten your belts from last time. Remember, we were told you should have a belt on when davening, because now you got your belt on, you're almost ready to daven and get wrapped as well. Right? That was the end of it. Cover your head, wrap a little hat around. Okay. All right. So we have to split this one up today. Okay, if you have, so the proper title is if you have to go to the bathroom, and the rules of washing for prayer and other preparations for prayer. So that is the title. We're not going to discuss all of these little preparations. So if you need to go to the bathroom, you may not pray. Thou shalt not pray. Actually, what it says. Okay. Should one need to go to the bathroom, you shall not pray. And if you pray, your prayer is despicable. Well, that's the line over here, toeva. Okay, toeva is a word used to describe things that are fully rejected. And you must repeat the prayer again. When does this apply? When you are unable to hold yourself back for the amount of time it would take to walk a parsah. Okay, we'll talk about how far that is in a moment. But if you are able to hold yourself, okay, your need to go to the bathroom for the length of a parsah, you have fulfilled the obligation, but not appropriately. It should be done to only pray after you have checked yourself well to make sure you don't have to go to the bathroom. The Ramah adds, all who need to go to use the restroom, or feel the urge to use the restroom, I should say, are prohibited from even reciting words of Torah so long as their body feels that it is rather disgusted from its sensations. Okay. The words in Hebrew are kind of difficult to translate. They are one is disgusted by them. The word for disgusted in this case is the similar word used for creepy crawly things. So if you're that sort of feeling that you would get when seeing little creepy crawlies, if you're feeling that way about your general gastrointestinal feelings, one should first use the bathroom before even engaging in learning Torah. So the Mishnah Berurah wants to answer the question, why should you wait? Because it says in the pasuk, Hachun likras Elokecha Yisrael, prepare yourself to meet your God Israel. And it also says, Shmur raglacha kasher telech el beis ha'elokim, guard your feet as you will prepare to walk to the house of God. And the rabbi is saying in the Talmud, God is saying the following, guard your orifices at the moment when one approaches me for prayer. So the idea is, if you don't stand there like you need to go use the bathroom, it's an inappropriate way to approach the king. And you need to go to the bathroom. Okay? Now, what does that mean? That means the sensation of having to defecate, but not necessarily of having to urinate. Okay? However, if you only have to use the restroom for urination, you would not have to repeat the prayer. However, this is an item that's in dispute, so one should be strict. The Mishnah Berurah doesn't say that, but he implies that. However, it's rabbinic, so there's room. Okay, this would be an interesting case for someone who has some type of urological disease or problem, and each case is a little bit different, which is not one that we should be able to discuss here. But if you know somebody who has that issue, there are ways that we can resolve it. That way we can continue to daven Shemona Esrei. What is the length of a parsah? Well, that is the length of walking for a meal, which is the time of 1 hour and 1/5, so about 72 minutes. Okay. And you could hold yourself back for that period of time, which is to say, the Mishna explains that the moment that prayer begins, you have the strength to withhold from going to use the bathroom for the next 72 minutes. This also implies that even if immediately afterwards you finish your prayer, you then use the restroom, you have still fulfilled your obligation b'diavad, which means you shouldn't do this, but if you could have waited all you have to do is have the feeling that I could wait the hour, right? So if it's the type of thing where you can kind of tell yourself, I could wait to the next rest stop, b'diavad, that would be okay, but you shouldn't do that. Okay, let's talk about why shouldn't you do that, Mishna Berurah. He says, so even if you could hold it back, that's still not so good, because what you're doing is you're praying and you feel like you have to use the restroom. And even if with this sensation, you feel like you still have to basically clear yourself out, and you really shouldn't prepare. You really should prepare yourself to go to pray with the prayer service until you are completely clean, have cleaned yourself. All right, so if you see that you're going to miss the time for prayer by spending a lot of time in the bathroom, so a lot of later decisors have said that it's permitted to go ahead and make your best guess, even if you kind of feel a little bit of disturbance in the stomach or other such feelings that would make you uncomfortable. Okay, and the Ramah added that even for the words of Torah, one should refrain, and so too for Kriya Shema and all other blessings, one should refrain as well. However, with these type of things, that one does not have to repeat them again, like we say by Tefillah. Okay, and we said the reason why is because your body is rather disgusted by these feelings. The Mishna Berurah explains that even if you don't have an absolute desire to use the bathroom, you feel like your body really, like this to be around people and acting like this would be something that people would be offended by, that behavior. Since you can't do this, you can't wait for it, therefore it would be applicable to go ahead and apply leniency to reciting the Shema, and that would be about it. Okay, and what we learned earlier in Siman Vav is that that there are plenty of people who are stringent even by Shema as well. So this is in the Shar Tzion. This is Tshuva, excuse me, in Siman Vav, chapter 6, number 4 in the Shar Tshuva. And if you are somebody who teaches Torah and you feel like you have to run to the bathroom, you can pause the lecture and go to the bathroom, because it's more important that you don't make an offending scene by having to hold back going to the bathroom while teaching Torah. Okay? And so therefore you should take care of that. Now, oops. Lost my page, 1 second. Halacha Beis. Okay. If in the middle of your prayer, and you feel the desire, and it arises in you the desire to hold yourself back from having to go to the bathroom, then you can do that. Okay? And you shouldn't pause. And if it's in the time of reciting the Shema, and in the Shema's blessings, you feel the need to go to the bathroom, and you feel the need that it's whether to go to the bathroom for both urination and defecation, you can still recite it in the regular way. The Ramah adds, this is specifically when you don't have a very urgent need, because that would be violating this Baal Teshaksu. Don't violate that offending feeling. However, it's really better that if you can, to just stop and go use the bathroom. Okay, and in fact, a number of opinions, later opinions in the Shulchan Aruch quotes, say you really they disagree, and say you need to stop. And the Shulchan Aruch also says that if you want to, you can go ahead and walk away from the place where you were praying and go ahead and take care of your needs. So the Mishnah Berurah explains there's a lot to unpack over here. So what happened was that before you started prayer, you checked yourself, and you didn't feel the need to go. So now, afterwards, you feel the absolute need that you have to run to use the restroom. You really shouldn't stop in the middle of your prayer. It's pretty clear that after you finish Shemona Esrei, you also can't hold it back. You have to then run to the bathroom and go then and not wait for Kedusha, because this is all one big thing. Okay, and we said that earlier in Siman Nunhei 55:3, talking about that these things are all connected. And if you could hold yourself back for that length of a parsah, then there is room for leniency. However, we don't like to rely on that leniency. So we also said that in the middle of the blessings of the middle of the Shema and the blessings, that's to say that with Kriya Shema's blessings, where you are allowed to walk around, which is not the case by Shemona Esrei, it seems like it would be plausible to go and take care of your bathroom needs at that time. And and it seems to be what it's saying at the end of this halacha as well. Even here, however, if you think that you can comport yourself and finish the Shema and not need to stop in the middle, even where you checked yourself beforehand and didn't feel a need to do that, it would apparently be okay. In the Bir Halacha, the Mishnah Berurah adds that we go into in depth to explain that this is only permitted until Shemona Esrei. But when you are about to start Shemona Esrei, since that's another thing separate from this, you can't rely on this leniency, and instead you have to go to the bathroom. Okay. So really, the point is over here is that you could rely on pausing in the middle of the blessing over here, in order that you can still put the blessing of the end of the redemption blessing at the end of Shema right next to Shemona Esrei, known as Mismach Gula L'Tefillah, the blessing that talks about our redemption. It's imperative to have those two together. So you should try to do that. It's really better that if you can go in between the blessings, but if not, you can go in the middle of that blessing so you can keep those two together. And so too, if you feel this need to have to go to the restroom before you start any of the blessings of Shema, you really should take care of that first before you start the Shema. Okay? And we said the same thing back in Siman 54, that Baruch Hu is part of the blessings of Shema, and saying Baruch Hu is now being in the middle of the blessings of Shema, and so therefore you really shouldn't be going out to the bathroom. So if you find that this need comes at the end of Sukkah de Zimra, then you shouldn't be saying Baruch Hu either in that case until you've gone ahead and taken care of your needs in the bathroom. So, lot to unpack over here. Let me finish this up and then I will explain it in some greater detail. So even though the Ramah says that the leniency of the Shulchan Aruch is only when you don't have a great need, it's referring to when you're not feel like you have to, like, there's not this desire to have to go right now. Okay, you just sort of feel like, oh, I really should go to the bathroom. But when you feel that strong urge, right, that's not the leniency over here. The leniency of the Shulchan Aruch is only when you're kind of like, ooh, I really should go to the restroom soon. However, without that, meaning that even though you could force yourself until you finished, nonetheless, it's better to stop and take care of your bathroom needs, because one shouldn't have anything disgusting about their body or something offending about their body when going into prayer. And this is talking about davening Shemona Esrei. There are some authorities who go into great detail, and they provide the following advice: that in the middle of the congregational prayer, right, Tefillah b'tzibur, it seems that one shouldn't stop in the middle of the Shemona Esrei, because it'll really be embarrassing to this person to stop in the middle, because people will know, oh, he's leaving because he got to go to the bathroom, right? So that would be somewhat embarrassing to him. So he could be lenient in that case. Okay, and this is echoed also in other works of halacha like Chai Adam, where you really shouldn't stop Shemona Esrei. And even in the case of where you feel that there's the absolute pressing need to have to go to the restroom, in those cases you could stop. And even in those cases, there is not an obligation to stop, because you technically could hold yourself back until you finish it, but if you feel the need to go, you could be lenient in that case. But if you can't, and you can't wait to the end of Shemona Esrei, then you could go ahead and use the restroom in the middle of Shemona Esrei, but you shouldn't say anything. You shouldn't even say the blessing afterwards, okay, after using the bathroom. And from this, we should learn that you should go, that when you do go back to pray, you don't have to go back to the beginning of the prayer, because when you started the prayer service, you were okay. It just happened to you in the middle of Shemona Esrei. Okay, so that's the difference over there. And then the Shulchan Aruch concludes that if you could walk out in the middle, that would be okay. And that's referring to Kriya Shema, where you're allowed to move around. Okay, so let's go over this rule a little bit. So if you've checked yourself, and then in the middle of prayer, you find that you have this urge to go, the rules are different depending on where you are at. If you're in the middle of Psukei Zimra, where you're not allowed to talk, so that's from Baruch Shamar until Yishtabach, and before Baruch Hu, you should go to the bathroom and take care of your business. You can say Asher Yatzar and then go back to prayer. And if you're wearing talis and tefillin, take those off before you go into the bathroom, before you even leave the shul. If you've already said Baruch Hu, the best thing to do is, again, and you made sure that these are all in cases where you made sure you didn't have to use the restroom when you put on your talis and tefillin and sat down to pray, but all of a sudden you get the urge that you need to go, you really should go to the bathroom and take care of that. So, there is room to be lenient, but it's better not to be. So if you feel all of a sudden the urge to go and you don't want to have to hold yourself back, you should pause in between the sections. So after you say the blessing after the first bracha, the end of that one, you can go, and after that, in between the different paragraphs of the Shema. But you shouldn't do it, and you can also be lenient in the second blessing that's right before the Shema. But you should try to avoid putting a break after the third blessing, which is right before Shemona Esrei. However, if it's urgent, you do need to take care of it before you start Shemona Esrei. All right, so that's kind of the summary of that halacha. Halacha Gimel, before number 3 over here, before prayer, one should go ahead and clean out all of the mucus that seems to be. It seems that these sections of prayer are connected. Come back. Hold on a second. It seems that these sections of prayer activity are connected during the moments of performance, and this seems then to make a time-bound activity, woman obligated or not. This is part of it. It's not just about it's not necessarily about time-bound. It's also about making sure your body is prepared to approach the king. So women are obligated in this as well. Halacha Gimel. Before you start the prayer service, it is appropriate to clear the mucus out of your body, okay? And anything that seems to bother you. So get rid of the headaches, get rid of the mucus, anything that would distract you, okay? So, don't see people who play with their face. Try to avoid doing all that stuff, okay? Halacha Daled. A person should wash their hands with water if they have it. And if they don't have it, then they need to go behind them at least 1 parsah. Again, this is the 1 hour thing to go find water. And this is when you are traveling and water is on the way ahead of you. So you should wait to pray 72 minutes so that way you can wash your hands with water. But if you need to reverse travel, then you only have to go back 1 meal of that, which is about 18 minutes. Okay, going back more than that is not required. And if you are concerned that the time of the prayer will pass as you try to wash your hands with water, you may then use a stone or dust and anything that can help to clean off your hands. And we will discuss these laws in more detail later on by laws of Mariv and Mincha in Reish Lamed Gimel 233. So what's the deal over here? Mishna explains the reason why is, like we said at the beginning of Siman Daled in Mishnah Berurah, that one has to prepare themselves for prayer by washing their hands. These obligations extend to Mincha and Mariv as well. You must wash your hands before starting them. And that's what we learn later on in Reish Lamed Gimel Daled in 233:2. And the Rambam even says that in a situation where one must wash their hands, and they don't wash their hands, and they don't even clean their hands with anything, even some rocks and dust, even afterwards, their tefillah is rejected. But that seems to be a little bit stricter than how the rest of us approach it. And we actually poskin that we don't repeat the prayer service. However, you see how stringent the Rambam is. We say that water is important. However, drying your hands is not a big deal because this isn't like washing your hands for food. We also say that you need to travel an hour and a little more. That's because when you're getting there that your hands are really dirty and you've touched all types of weird stuff. However, if your hands are just a little bit dirty, that's not where the stringency is. This is if, let's say, you went to the bathroom on your travel and your hands are really gross and you haven't had a chance to wash them. Because back in the day, having bathrooms was tough. But even nowadays, this is an azhara, this is a warning to you to always wash your hands when you come out of the bathroom. I see some people still who do not wash their hands. It just floors me how gross people are. So this is a reminder that you have to say the blessing afterwards. You should be washing your hands afterwards. So we say further that if you don't have water here for whatever reason, you're out camping and you're on the trail, and going backwards on the trail is inconvenient, and you need to go forward. So you can go to the place you need to go and focus on that, and don't have to go backwards at all. Okay, because we said you're traveling. Riding is the same as walking, and it doesn't matter whether it's a good path or a bad path. That's for so long as you know that you're going to find water where you get to, then you can rely on waiting the hour. But if you're not sure, then you can't rely on that, right? So if you're traveling in somewhat of a dry wilderness, then you would need to go backwards. And when we say backwards, so much more so when you're just sitting in your own house. Of course, you have to go and find water to wash your hands because you don't live that far from water, and I'm sure your hands are pretty dirty. So we say that going backwards is only a mil. And many opinions say that we're talking about to go even slightly more than the actual meal itself. So that was like the 18 minutes, 19 minutes, 20 minutes. Okay, but we say that this is only to be strict when you're not going to miss the time of prayer completely, Mishna adds. And if it's in a place where you have a minyan, and if you're going to go look for water, you're going to miss the time for the minyan. So people say that you don't need to go look for water in this case. So having a minyan nearby is the same thing as passing the time for prayer. Once you clean their hands, which is to say that you should not go searching for water because you might miss the proper time for prayer. And that is a case where we say you shouldn't waste your time. And so too, by Shema, we said the same thing, that a person should not delay while looking around for water, especially if you're going to miss the time for the time for Shema. So wipe your hands with something like a rag and recite the Shema. And many people say that by Kriya Shema, at the first moment when the time for it comes, if you don't have water, you can do that and not wait for water. Okay, so they're even more lenient. All right, and because in Reish Lam Gimel we talked about time for mincha and washing your hands. Let's see over here. I think we're going to pick up. I think we're going to pick up next time. Okay, I think we'll talk a little about praying yourself. So does the washing have to be intentional for prayer? If just wash hands by doing dishes, is that okay? You do not need intention by washing your hands. That's correct. So as long as your hands you're washing other stuff. However, if there's dirt from the dishes that's stuck to your hands, you should rinse that off. But otherwise, it would be acceptable. So we will pick up next time in the laws over here. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, because we're going to talk about over here. The next section is going to talk about when you wash your hands in the morning, you have to wash them in the afternoon. So we'll pick that up with Haid for next time. Thank you everyone for coming out. We will see you. We'll see you next time.